as dogs with a Super Bowl victory in New Orleans.
Yeah, and a lot of things I don't know, like I don't think I've ever told this story, like, but they were super cocky, the St. Louis Rams at the time. I think we saw a few of them out.
On Bourbon Street?
On Bourbon Street, like kind of in that area. Like,
jeez, what were you doing out?
But this was like early in the week.
Well,
All right.
Yeah, this was like early.
Just getting a meal, I'm sure.
No. It's like early in the week. You know, you get down there and it's like one day you figure out, all right, we got, you know, because you only have this time, and then the rest of the day you're kind of locked down.
I hope you weren't having a hurricane, the official drink of New Orleans.
I don't think so.
What's that bar called? Pat O'Reilly's or something?
Pat O'Brien's.
Oh,
okay.
Pat O'Brien's.
And they were just like super cocky in the sense, like the way
Pat O'Reilly has the trademark on Tree Peat. See, that was an Irish joke. You get that? Thank you. Go ahead.
Churn in the butter.
But
it's Thursday for the Tree Peat. Guess what?
Yeah, but they were like super cocky, and I can't remember. I don't remember if it was Torrey Holt or Marshall Falk.
Oh, what a bitter guy Marshall Falk
Yeah, we
is.
saw them out, and they were just like you could tell like the arrogance and cockiness of like, oh, they were just gonna steamroll us, and we kind of like knew that and we remember that, and that was kind of played into the week of like the game. It's just like how arrogant and like they gave us zero respect.
Getting there and being there in New Orleans, so this would be, you know, to the arrival, this would be the time.
Yep.
Were you more nervous than, because you'd never played in one before, you weren't expected to be there,
right?
Were you more nervous than you had been ever?
Or
it didn't matter.
It kind of didn't matter because for us, obviously, it's a cliche thing. You treat it like another game, but because like some of us had never been there, we were kind of naive to it. But luckily, there were plenty of guys like Willie and Teddy that had been there in '96, so they kind of knew some of that of like, okay, to help us other guys that had never been there to say, okay, here's how you need to relax and treat it as a game. Because I remember in that game, like every time I looked at the clock when we were up, I'm like, all right, is the game over? Is the game over? Because you're thinking like, all right, hurry up and get over because we have the lead. And
same thing that this is ironic, but that's what the listeners now do when you have a live read.
Oh, okay.
They do that.
Wiggy, I know we've talked about it at times, but new audiences, could you explain how, because it was the first time in Super Bowl history that a team was introduced collectively. How did that come about? When did you decide, and what was that like?
So that came about in the locker room, and I believe it was Lawyer Malloy's idea because Lawyer was one of our leaders, and he kind of, he said what was on his mind, and they wanted the defense to come out, right? Because I think the Rams offense came out, and they wanted our defense to be introduced where, the rest of the team runs out, and then they introduce the starters individually. And Lawyer was like, with a couple, expletives, was like, we ain't doing that. We're coming out as a team. F that. And even when we were in that tunnel, and remember Brady's like headbutting the ish out of everybody.
Right.
And
Bledsoe looked pissed.
Yeah, and Willie's like, calm down. Like, we haven't even started yet. They were still like, all right, defense, you're going to go out there. And Lawyer was like, F-bombing the guy, like, no, it ain't happening. We're going out as a team. That's how we got here. And that kind of was the whole introduction to, why we came out like that. And I feel like a lot of teams do it nowadays, right? Doesn't everybody just run out now?
Yeah.
But it used to be, because wasn't that the first Super Bowl after the Ray Lewis gyrations? Wasn't that 2000?
Yeah, that was like
it used to be the big thing of the Super Bowl was all the guys and what they would do and run down. And, and the Rams had just had this prolonged introduction.
Oh.
And then when Summerall said that on the broadcast, it was like, holy crap, they might win this thing.
That's when you knew you made it. Like for me, when I was in the NFL and I had the actual opportunity with the Vikings to be introduced as an offensive individual player, and you get run down, like that's when you're like, oh wow, I made it, mama. Like I'm finally here. And so, it is a cool experience to be introduced individually, but it was really cool for us to do it as a group.
It's crazy to me that if teams are going out at the beginning of Super Bowl week and it, like you said, the Rams, are cocky, maybe saying things to you, that there's not more like fights that break